Hello and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori and this is Africa 54. Tonight, peace talks between South Sudan's government and anti-government forces have entered the fourth day as the two sides meet face-to-face for the first time in the Ethiopian capital city Addis Ababa. Fierce battles continue in their homeland. Fed up with the fighting, marched in Juba Wednesday, urging both sides to reach an agreement to end the violence.
We civil society organizations in strong terms possible call upon both conflicting parties to immediately, without any delay or for condition, to set for political dialogue and resolve their political differences non-violence.
As demonstrators marched against the fighting, peace talks in Ethiopia appeared to have stalled late Wednesday, with rebels saying there will be no truce until President Salva Kiir reverses himself and frees 11 jailed pro-rebel leaders who were arrested last year for their alleged roles in a coup plot. A rebel spokesman says the detainees are being held on bogus charges.
The charges are erroneous, and it's just a matter of pride, So I'm sure the government will do the right thing.
But the battles continue with no announced timetable for a ceasefire.
It is clear that after failing to capture Juba, they are the one attacking until today. SPLA is fighting in a self-defense. Fighting has been ongoing around Bor and around Bentiu, between Bentiu and Mayo.
Nearly a month of violence in South Sudan has killed more than 1,000 people and forced about 200,000 from their homes. For more on the situation in South Sudan, Africa 54, Ndimyake Mwakalyelye joins us from the Capitol Hill, where a Senate Foreign Relations Committee is having a hearing on South Sudan. Hello, Ndimyake.
Hi, Vincent. Yes, as you said, the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee is having a hearing today. This marks obviously a deep step in trying to understand exactly what is going on in the South Sudanese country. And of course, the U.S. has been deeply involved since the very beginning, dating back to 2005 when the Comprehensive Peace Agreement was signed and penned. Obviously, the concern is how serious is the situation? What more can the international community do, including and particularly the United States? So obviously the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee convened this meeting, really more of a fact-finding discussion to really get to the heart of what is the cause of the rebellion, how extensive is it, how much worse can it get, what are the real reasons behind the actual outbreak of violence, is it ethnic, is it political, and then also of course the extent of the humanitarian crisis that's resulting from it. So among the panelists that are going to be speaking or are speaking as the discussion is currently taking place is the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, that's Linda Thomas-Greenfield, and she offered this account of at least what the U.S. is doing to help mitigate the situation.
The United States has engaged in an all-out diplomatic effort to help bring an end to the fighting, with engagement by Secretary Kerry, National Security Advisor Susan Rice, and other high-ranking officials with President Kiir and former Vice President Machar, as well as with the heads of state, foreign ministers in neighboring countries and around the world. We have galvanized support to end hostilities and open a broader dialogue between the two sides. We've called for accountability for atrocities, and we've sought to secure the release of political detainees now being held in Juba.
Now, some of the other panelists that are also at this discussion, Vincent, include, of course, the former special envoy to Sudan and South Sudan, that's Princeton Lyman, who, together with the other panelists too, are really calling for a deeper engagement in South Sudan, saying that it's really too late to turn back now and that more enforcement needs to be put into action, including trying to find and support the UN peacekeeping efforts over there. And then also what he suggested in terms of trying to strengthen the South Sudanese institutions institutions, which he said have been really weak up until this point. One of them is to try and develop a new constitution, which he says has taken way too long to complete, and is calling on the international community to weigh in on that with expertise, with experts who can weigh in on how best to do it. And then also on the panel is John Prendergast of the Enough Project. He's the co-founder of that, and he's been also involved for many years in the South Sudanese conflict, also even before that in Darfur. And his suggestion is that an expansion of Troika, which is the group that was initially involved in bringing peace to South Sudan, the United Kingdom, Norway, and the US, and he says that maybe China could further be included to try and help speed the process of recovery and peace building.
Now, for those watching, definitely they want to know, what is the significance of having this kind of hearing at the Senate here in the U.S. Capitol?
Well, it really brings to fore the serious nature of the South Sudanese conflict, and of course how much the United States is invested in South Sudan, and also the conflict and how it could really throw into disarray not only what is going on in South Sudan but the larger region. So this discussion that is taking place at the U.S. Foreign Relations Committee is to try to find solutions to try to bring the peace, and of course, as you've been hearing from a lot of the discussions taking place there, is that they're talking to all sides, both President Salva Kiir and, of course, former Vice President Riek Machar.
Well, Ndimyake, thanks for your excellent reporting. That's Africa 54's Mwakalyelye reporting live from Capitol Hill.